Okay. I just did the most annoying thing and then I accidentally hit end recording. So I'm gonna have to combine these two. God damn it. Whatever. It's very easy to do anyways. Okay. So let's do this. So anyways, yeah, so moon where it is, with Neptune and Chiron, yeah, so it's a T square. Shoots out in Libra, eighth house. Wow. I would say that Moon and Neptune can make people very prone to depression also because they can get really confused and kind of caught in this web of emotions. And like I said before, taking on energy that's not there. So, it makes the people you surround yourself with and the places you work and um the places you live, all that so, so, so important, right? You're a sponge for energy, good and bad. Um, so it really is about like investing in creative outlets, creative pursuits, and really valuing the softer side of your emotions and also honoring your boundaries. And then that Aries moon, it is very, very good at being emotionally assertive and telling people, you know, what it is, how it is, no holding back. This is it. Take it or leave it. So, when you add Chiron to the mix in the sign of Cancer, which usually, the Chiron in Cancer, I said the thing about childhood, but everyone I've seen with Chiron in Cancer, myself included, well, I would say yeah, like pretty much most people, most clients at least I know, have felt sort of like the black sheep in their family, like there's some pain related to their family. And a lot of times with the moon, it's around the mother, and it can just be just feeling misunderstood, misvalued sometimes. And it's just like this deep emotional pain that needs to be risen above, which, that type of placement pushes one, if they want to have a good life, into healing. And then they're able to help heal other people through just that placement alone. Now, a T square is when three planets form squares to each other. So there's one in the middle, and there's one on 90 degrees of that one, and one on 90 degrees of the other one. And it looks like a bow and arrow, and it shoots out from the apex at a random point, not random, at the opposite point in the chart that would complete this like a actual square. That point is Libra in your eighth house, and that's the resolution. So to resolve any of these emotional issues, it is about Libra, which in its eighth house, which is Scorpio, which, to me is very, very, very correspondent and linked to your North Node in Pisces and to doing the shadow work. Because of the South Node was in Virgo and because it's in the seventh house, there's been this lack of allowing yourself to just be alone and live in that apartment alone and go through the emotions that you have to go through. Like when you're always surrounded by someone in a relationship, sometimes you just blend with that person. Your two charts blend, your two energies blend. And it's not, I always talk about this in my content, when I talk about the Aquarian relationship, that I believe that people need to have, not everyone, but that, having energetic breaks and sleeping in your own bedroom, for example, in some cases you know, is very important because astrologically we lose our own charts when we're always with someone. And it's, one of my best readings I do, and if you're ever interested, if you're in a relationship, I highly suggest it. I do compatibility readings, and there's something called a composite chart, which is when you stick any two people's charts together, a new chart is formed via the midpoints. So I'm not going to get into the whole science and technique of that, but what I can tell you is extremely powerful and extremely telling of what the energy of that relationship is. So imagine, let's just give this example, right? Imagine that your purpose in a past life was similar to this one, right? You're here to you're there to really develop yourself spiritually, to be very independent, um, to escape a tendency of codependency, to escape a tendency of being too in the material world and not enough in the spiritual world, to regain faith in God, because like with the Virgo South Node, see, I'm doing so much better right now. I'm so happy. Like my eyes are closed. I'm just vibing. This is the Scorpio, right? It's like I swear I always struggle in the first 10 minutes of like when the moon's in Scorpio, but it's just like, and this is a really good example of Pluto. Pluto is the underworld. So think about Pluto, and I'll talk about this later in your chart. Pluto is like how you have to dig deep, and it's hard to dig through the earth, right? It's hard to dig into the underworld, and it gets dark, and you can't see. But then eventually you get to, and it's the mythology of all, the Persephone. I'm not really good with mythology. I'm sorry, but the whole myth where he finds all of the jewels and the gold via his voyage to the underworld, or her. So that's what it's like, right? With the moon Scorpio now, and just in general with Pluto. And I'll talk about your Pluto soon, but like it's also how it is, just with Chiron and just with healing any moon hard aspects, right? It's like it's with all hard aspects, they're not bad. Nothing is bad in your chart. It is simply just a challenge that you signed up for based on your karma and what your soul at your time of birth said, I am ready for this challenge. I am ready to sign up for this. I want this experience. So it's not about thinking like, oh, like I'm the victim. I have this difficult chart. So many people think that, and it's faulty thinking. It's not the right thinking, right? Yeah, so I don't know. I think that yeah, it's just really important to understand, yeah, to really never allow yourself to get stuck in that trap. Understanding the challenges is very, very key though. So as I was saying, right, with eighth house and Libra together, it's being able to, so Aries moon can make one very emotionally reactive, and they can have anger issues, especially with Mars conjunct it. Mars in Aries is very, very powerful. If you don't work out, I'm gonna sue you. Okay, just joking. But no, you need to work out. I don't want to hear any excuses. If you don't, like, I'm in our follow up. Like, I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting this. Um, Look, the amount of Aries moons, Aries just moons. You have Aries Mars, which is the most powerful Aries placement possible. A lot of pro athletes Aries Mars. Um, Baseline level, I would bet money that you played sports in high school, or you're from Australia, but that you were, very, very, very competitive, and it needs an outlet. It's like this very fiery energy that needs an outlet. So cold water is so good. Um, yeah, a lot of Aries placements that I know like that, they smoke weed, which I'm not saying is bad. I'm just saying that um the energy is so intense, and they just, yeah, they just kind of like need, like, if they don't have that workout, they can become really addicted to weed. That's something I found in my own research. So anyways, Libra eighth house as like the healing part of your T square with Chiron, and with especially when you have the moon at the apex of the T-square, like that is when you know like this is a fucking important part of your chart, right? I'm serious, like very important. And you know, it's in the house of values. Also, just so you know, you are a fucking hustler. You are a hustler. Mars and Aries in the second house. Are you fucking kidding me? That is a go-getter, business, like whatever you do, and we'll talk more about that with your Neptune the 11th, which I find very interesting, and your Sun the 6th. Like I would also bet money that you're a workaholic, or that's something that that's been a theme in your life, right? You have a lot of that. Um, so and by the way, when we're doing these readings, what everyone does, like, and this is what I want you, like, I hopefully you do, if like this is what you do basically. And I should sell them all, I should tell people this, like not everyone does it. I'd say 85%. You get the reading and follow up. This reading you keep forever, right? This never goes away. This never changes. People hit me up from 5 years ago and they're like, I just rewatched the reading. It blew my mind. Like holy shit. Like things were making sense that like even more now than before. Like, wow, right? It happens all the time. Like at least weekly, right? Now, the really important thing is also getting for the follow up. My one rule is I want you to take notes. My favorite client, the first time they watch the reading, people usually watch it multiple times, right? Um, I know people are busy, but yeah, like definitely have notes ready. Um, because I don't want to do the reading 2 times in a row, right? That's not the point of the follow up. Because like when I get into a trance and when I do the readings like this, I don't remember anything. Like I already don't remember what I just said, because my eyes are closed and I was completely somewhere else, and I'm just getting started. So my point is that it's just very important for you to first time take it in, or if you're like that, take notes the first time you listen, like more rough notes, but then more detailed the second. And then the follow-up is an hour. You already have that, where we talk all about your lived experience compared to what I said today, right? Because everything is the chart meets your free will. So we'll see how you've been applying your free will, and then we can see what changes need to be made. That's the magic of it, right? Now, after that, and this is what most people add, is the current astrology. So the current astrology is predictive astrology, and I'm very, very, very good at that. I've developed new techniques that not a lot of astrologers use, that I've kind of synchronized in my own way. And my goal is not to tell you a bunch of shit that you're just gonna it's just gonna go over your head, because it's just so detailed and technical, and it's just like I'm giving you an idea. Like I want you to walk away understanding the energetic weather of the now and the year plus ahead. A lot of people come back to me each year, but that's I don't really push people to. It's just kind of if they want to, I don't send emails. I'm not like a business person when it comes to my astrology. Like I don't maximize profits, right? It's just not my karma to do that. Um, I'm here to help people, but like that. So that's coming from a place of me being really, really honest, and that's how you maximize this experience. But with that said, having the nail chart and follow up is still amazing. But understanding, like, the current astrology is very important as well. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to let you know that. And let me know, because I would give you a $50 discount. It's usually 350. I'd be happy to do it for 300, and it's usually 2 hours, sometimes a bit more, and we go on Zoom. It's live, it's recorded. Of course, it's only a private recording that only you see. Hour one follow up, hour two and three. Sometimes it goes even longer. Are the current, and it goes deeper than that. It's also it's also psychology, counseling. It's wherever it needs to go, right? It's really magical. I had someone say the other day that the 3 hours with me were more impactful and more powerful than three years of therapy for him. And that's not the first time I've been told that. So yeah, let me know. And I'm going to write down actually right now that I offered that price, because it's oh it's just a great experience. Um, Actually, no, you paid 290 for the reading, so I'm just gonna offer it for 290. How about that? I'll just do that for you. Okay, cool. Um, so yeah, anyways, as I was saying, like so your Aries moon's in the second house, so it's very much about values, and it's really important to not be, because like people with that, like if they're super workaholic, super worried about money, they can have lots of ups and downs with their fortunes when it comes to money, and then there can even be some confusion. Um, but there's a lot in your chart that shows me like your 11th house Neptune and the moon in the second house too, that when you have a good balance of like the metaphysical and the physical with respect to your career, which doesn't mean like you have to go do something like spiritual for your work. No, I'm not saying that. But when there's not like this like any fear energy, right, which can happen with some of these placements of like over obsession, over like like materialism and need to have everything, all possessions and status and all that, like that's fine, just it has to be balanced. So that's what I'm saying. Like you can't like the worst thing you could do is give up on your spiritual is not give enough time and energy to your spiritual journey and that journey inwards with yourself, which, as I was saying, eighth house, that's what that's about, right? That's the worst thing you can do. So you need to give time for that. And that even could feature in your career, right? Midheaven is in Sag, so it is a mutable sign. Mutable midheavens, mutable means changeable. So a lot of mutable midheavens, they could have two careers at once, the moneymaker and the passion, and eventually the passion turns into the moneymaker. Or, they can have career changes. And it's not just career, it's overall dharma, overall mission, overall purpose, right? And you're a seeker in that sense. You're someone who's looking for truth, who's always trying to expand. That's the high value of Sagittarius, is someone who is open-minded and enjoys being wrong, right? Because being wrong gets them closer to the truth. So, okay. Anyways, so as I was saying, eighth house, we are dealing with the Pluto energy, right? What I was saying before about digging deep into your own psyche, into your own unconscious, into your own darkness, into your own trauma, right? Um, and then with Libra, eighth house is very interesting because it's a Venus ruled eighth house, and Venus is in the Gemini, right? Where is it? Yeah, in the fourth. Which you have Venus and Jupiter in the fourth, so that usually signifies a very good childhood. Um, but like I've also seen it just not be like that. But I'd be surprised if it wasn't. But like I like nothing. Life is not like just like black or white. You can have like a nice childhood where you learned a lot. Like your ICU is in Gemini, so maybe the home was like a very informative place where you just learned a lot, and there's lots of talking, lots of communication. But maybe there wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell, right? Maybe like there wasn't like the maybe there was something lacking that you needed. I don't know. This is really really tough to tell with the parents, because there are some tough aspects, so I really want to know about those. But like I think I would imagine from one of like I could see one of the parents either like just not understanding you, or just being way different than you, or kind of like you know whether it's physical or metaphorical, just not getting you, and not and just like kind of not kind of yeah like or just like not being present in that sense, right? Which can be metaphoric or physical. um so anyways, and then with one of them, there could also, Sun square Pluto can indicate a power struggle with one of the parents, where um you know there could be trauma with one of the parents, where the individual had to really grow up fast, right? Really had to grow up fast because they, yeah, it's like almost like a stressful energy. Maybe a very strict and controlling parent, but perhaps, but it forces you into that. It's like it's something you sign up for, that forces you into that death rebirth transformation. Okay, we move on. So, there's a Pisces rising, with your North Node there. Like I already said that the eighth house, you're like, and with Venus also, right? Like ruling it, there is this ability, which Venus is in a water house, fourth house too. You do have spiritual gifts. So there is this real need to dive deep in. Um, and you'll have a lot of abilities in that sense, right? So yeah, I think it's important for you to really dive into spiritual topics and all of that kind of stuff because it just has this great effect in healing in general. Now, when I was so I'll get to the workaholic or just like the sixth house energy in a sec, but yeah, like, well, actually, I'll talk about that now. So with a Chiron, and so if that is the case, that there was this feeling misunderstood or some kind of pain around the family, a sixth house sun person in Leo also, they can really sometimes go above and beyond when it comes to work. Now, like, they definitely want to be of service, but they can also just be very, very good at like employees, or um, just be people who are very, very dialed into their day-to-day routine. And they really shine in that consistent manner. But that's also kind of in line with your South Node in Virgo, right? So with the fact that it's ruled by the sun, your sixth house, it's really speaking to the fact that you need to shine in that sixth house, in that, in a sort of expansive type of Jupiterian way. And, um, you know, it could even be like working in health, or just being very, very, very like a big part of your life being about your mental, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, all the O's health, right? On a day-to-day level. Um, and once again, going back to the physical, the importance of that, you know. So that's that. And yeah. So like I was saying before, Mars in the second house in Aries is very, very good for what I'm about to talk about, which is boundaries, and just kind of asserting oneself in that way. It's very powerful. It can sometimes be over the top. So there is that need, like with Libra, the opposite sign of your sun, your moon, to really learn about diplomacy and to get good at seeing other people's viewpoints. It might not come that easy. Now you do have some air, Jupiter and Venus, but still, um, you know, Aquarius and Libra, there's nothing there. So, and when it comes to Earth, there is absolutely nothing, right? Um, so, lacking Earth in your chart, like myself, you have to understand that there's a lot, like going back to the day-to-day work, it's a karmic mission for you to find that consistency and to be as balanced as you possibly can. Now with Neptune square Mars, and Moon square Mars, it can be difficult for one to know itself, and there can be potential for escapism where one can fall into drugs, alcohol, or just things of that nature. Interestingly, often a lot of times I found that it's like family members of theirs that have done that, and they just stay away from it. But I recently, the last person I spoke to with this, she had her issues with substances, right? And you know, what can happen is that if like so the cure for it is around, spirituality and being of service and doing good karmic deeds that, by helping other people, you start to see yourself more clearly, which is Neptune's high energy. Neptune's low energy is fogginess, right? And um, this sort of like repetitive life, this not monotonous feeling of like I'm just doing the same shit day after day, and it leads to depression, you know, and help and kind of this helpless feeling, this nihilism. So stepping out of the self is really, really important. Um, but at the same time, you have to have boundaries and able to do that, right? Like South Node seventh house is someone that doesn't that karmically doesn't have the best boundaries. So in order for you to fully get to where you need to get spiritually, you need to be selfish a little bit. You need to let some people go that are not helping you in that process. You need to, maybe move if that, I mean, honestly, like astrocartography is another reading I do, which is it's basically explaining like continent to continent what the best and worst and just basically explain like the energy of every place in the world for you astrologically. And I use it for my travels. It's amazing. Like, yeah. But because you have Jupiter close to your IC, um yeah, like being pretty close to where you grew up is good. It's going to be good, right? But anyways, as I was saying, um, yeah, Pisces rising lack boundaries, but like, yeah, you do I mean, because they're chameleons, they're really good at blending in, but they also can get projected on a lot. So people can sometimes see them for how they want to see them, or they can project their own insecurities or their own, the own ways in which they're falling short onto those people. So for the Pisces person who also has Moon square Neptune, right? That brings back that idea of alone time and the importance of having non-energy vampires around you, especially in one-on-one relationships. So when I talk about intuition, with this energy with the Neptune, you need to really like it's really important for you to meditate and to do whatever whether it's yoga, whether it's just going on walks, working out, whatever makes you clear in your mind and slows you down. And whether it's like, not taking substances in, whatever it is for you, right? Eating well, whatever, right? We all have a different makeup in that sense. You need to, understand that you do have this gift for intuition. Um, and that's what you're trying to move towards. And it's about listening to that. Like we all have been in situations where, let's say we meet like a potential partner, and the first second we feel something in our stomach, or we just feel something where we just don't trust them. Like there's just something that's a little tiny bit off, and maybe we're so attracted to them that we say screw it and we don't listen to it. A month or two passes, and then we end up we should have listened to our first instinct. How many times does that happen to every human, right? So it's about understanding that voice is your intuition. That's your, whether believe that that's your angels, your guides warning you about something, trying to give you a clue, but still understand that you have to go through what you have to go through, or whether you think that, that's your own, reaction, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But like that is something that you're trying to develop. And Virgo South Node can pull someone away from that and make them too overly analytical. So they're using logic to try to figure out things that logic is not good at figuring out. Right. So things don't have to make sense. You don't have to have a reason to do anything. If it feels right, go for it. But yeah, that's the key there, is having those boundaries and being able to say no and being able to understand that, okay, like, because of my growth, I might be upsetting some people, but that's just how it is when you're on the spiritual path. The people that you grew up with, they might not, you might not connect with them on the same level as before. Now, also, I want to speak to you about something very important, and it's about jealousy. You're a very powerful individual. You have the Royal Star Antares, which I want you to, it's very hard to find information on it, but I want to turn my camera on, but I swear my eyes have been closed and it's just amazing. I'll open it a little bit later, but like I'm like I don't even know. Like I feel so good right now. I feel I feel like I can feel it in the back of my head. Like I feel like I'm in like a different world. and even my eyes, like my yeah, like my my eyes feel like I can't, I don't know. But yeah, for me, I care more about getting you the best reading possible, right? So Antares is so yeah, like Pablo Escobar is an example of someone. Andrew Tate is an example of someone. Um, I give those two examples because they're both highly controversial. I mean, there's a lot of other people that are Antares that the point is that they, you know, like it's kind of like yeah, like that king of the underworld energy. Antares, but like there's a lot of other people. I know those are just the two that came to the top of my head. But Antares is just very, intense, fiery, passionate. Um, there's some spice to it. It's a trailblazer. It's a survivor. It is. It can be provoking, daredevil. But it can also self-sabotage and be very hot-headed and temperamental, right? But also there's like this self-motivation usually, and it's very, very entrepreneurial. Like it wants to do its own thing. So sometimes they can be the cause of their own undoing. So it's all about the ego. And it's really like the whole theme is going through this like this very scorpionic like life like cleansing of the spiritual self, right? Like this almost death of yeah, this death of the self. Um, but sometimes they seek out intensity too much, even when it's not required. So yeah, it really can be very, very extreme. And I guess those two examples I gave are two people that are very, very, very extreme. Um, so yeah, staying away from drama is important because like um Antares is it's like it wants to take a stand against the establishment or just um it's not good with authority, right? So on the midheaven it brings great fortune, uh, but then it's also like this feeling like one is always going in this like archetypal struggle of black versus white, of dark versus light, right? And there can be this very obsessive energy, and sometimes they want to really like work for the underdog and with issues of injustice, right? But a lot of times they get very misunderstood because they're going against the status quo. They're going against, so yeah. But it's very, very, very determined. Very, very, very determined. Hold on. Yeah. So, as I was saying, as I was saying, Sixth House Sun, it is very much about finding, yeah, finding the work that really, really, you know, that really gives you joy, right? Um, and also just finding that balance between fun and or like yeah, because it's Leo, right? So it's like Leo and Virgo. So it's like, you need to like have fun and be inspired in what you do. And, you know, um, the fact that it trines Mars, you have this amazing willpower. So that's like a theme in your chart, willpower. So it's like you are someone who could start all over and make it at whatever, you know? Now, I would say that there could be some difficulty, like I was saying, with a lack of earth. Like you could be the type of person that just starts a lot of things. But this is the thing. I've seen this is something I've seen on my own is that South Node is in Virgo. So your South Node is in an Earth sign. A lot of times when I see that, I tend to think that that person's mastered that Earth energy in past lifetimes. They don't need it, and that's kind of proven to be true. And because your Sun, Mercury in the sixth house, you know, like you have your and yeah. So I'm actually not worried at all because your second house has your Moon, that's a Earth house, and your sixth house has your Sun. Your Mars is in the second house. Your Mercury's in the sixth house. So I'm not worried about it actually. Like the organization, the groundedness, the feeling, feeling like a somewhat consistent version of yourself day after day. Okay. Anyways, I'm just gonna turn the camera back on. Actually, let me try to get one more chance and then we'll turn it back on. But yeah, so like the Sun square Pluto also can make like someone very like the idea of power comes up and it can make someone a little bit explosive and like having trouble kind of controlling their emotions, especially when you have an Aries moon. So there can be like a lot of self-sabotage too with the Mars square Neptune, and the moon square Neptune too, where if one doesn't see themselves in the way that's like in line, like especially if one's like working in the matrix type, for lack of a better word, right? Like in like the kind of rat race type um situation, they might have a lot of difficulty, right? They might have a lot of difficulty when it comes to being happy. They might feel like very monotonous, right? Like life it has no meaning. So it can bring up a lot of it's another aspect of someone that needs to get the physical energy out. But like Sun square Pluto usually, like I said, it makes someone have to grow up pretty young. Um, and they definitely, they definitely like need to learn to compromise. But that comes naturally to you based on your seventh house south node, most likely. So yeah. Um, interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So also like having Mercury and Leo, those people, they have this thirst for knowledge. They're very proud of what they've learned and how, they really want people that, they love to have fun, and they want learning to be fun. Sometimes they can be a little bit of know-it-alls, so it's important to have like a good balance of like speaking and listening or shooting for that. But Mercury in the sixth, it does create usually a very busy, stimulating daily routine, where you learn a lot from your daily life. Um, and also there can be like a lot of interest in learning about healing, like whether it's like herbs or just like anything like, with respect to like the relationship between the mind and the body, or just yeah, just health in general. But also sixth house, which of course I'm gonna always say this, your vertex is there too. It rules pets. So, it could very well be the case that, you know, pets feature enormously in your life in a very important way. Maybe you can even communicate with them. I can, and yeah. So, moving forward, we can talk about love or let's see. Well, actually, no, before that, um, so I just want to say like Moon with Mars. I already kind of said like, there's just a lot of impulsive energy there. And because it squares Neptune, some like it's just really important for you to take things slow and to not act on first impulse because like what can happen is that Neptune can create this paranoia and this thought that like um something is there that isn't, and then the person makes the mistake and then they regret it, right? So yeah, very important stuff. um hmm, hmm. And then yeah, Pluto, I would say, but yeah, also like with Mars and Moon, it's someone who's really good at speaking their emotions, speaking their truth. So it's like, the people who can handle it, those are the people you want around you, right? But like just from like a business kind of like diplomacy standpoint, Libra standpoint, where you kind of have to, it just understand that not everyone can handle your level of intensity and your level of just laying it out how it is. Because like it's just like, yeah, a lot of people with that, they just act without thinking. But it's very much like entrepreneur leader energy. I would not be surprised if you were, your own boss in some way. So yeah. So also like, and then also your moon trines Mercury, right? Like nearly exact. So that's another placement of someone who can communicate their thoughts with an amazing ease. You might be an amazing writer or artist in some way, or just someone who's just really, really good at getting their heart message across, right? Um, yes, it can be manipulated, but it is a trine. So it's very, very good for sales. It's someone who can sell anything, and someone who can kind of like blend the heart and the mind together to make decisions. And that same goes for this moon trine sun, right? That it creates like usually a pretty easygoing nature. Like I love Leos so much, right? Um, so yeah, it's a lot of fire, and sometimes over fire people have to realize that like not everyone has their level of energy. Um, yes, you do have the Neptune aspect to your moon, which will kind of calm it down a bit and make you really understand that better. Um, but yeah, with the Pluto Sun, it can be very intense. It can almost be a little bit bipolar in a sense. Not like that you have that, but it can create those, this real back and forth energy. So yeah, I think um I think Sun trine Moon is one of the best aspects in astrology because it's like if your Sun and your Moon, your masculine and your feminine are the two captains of your metaphoric ship. They're both going in a similar direction, fire. So you're here to really attack life. Um, let's see. Let's see. Yeah. So Mercury square Pluto. Actually, before that, so Sun conjunct Mercury, but it is, it's combust. So I mean, yeah, definitely like someone like sometimes people with that, like, yeah, very like, they can sometimes identify too much with their minds. It is very good for, a very effective communicator, of course. Really, really enjoying like being stimulated intellectually, always looking, for new avenues to communicate their ideas through. But sometimes it's like too much talking, not enough listening, and being a little bit forceful about their interests and, less interested in others. And it can be a little bit dogmatic too, right? Because the sun burns the Mercury. It doesn't make someone stupid, right? But what it does is that, there can be too much of an ego attachment to the Mercury, to the mind, and to the ideas. So being open minded is very, very important. Um, so yeah, like when we talk about Sun trine Mars, so Mars is trining Sun, it's aspecting in a good way your Moon, Sun, and Mercury, right? So that's really good. So Mars is doing great things. And it's in the best sign that it can be in, Aries, right? So Sun Mars people, Sun trine Mars is just someone, it just gives a lot of confidence, lots of energy to achieve goals, very good for leadership, um, very entrepreneurial. It's just a powerful one. And with Mercury, it's the same thing, but it's just like it's someone who's kind of a go-getter with anything mental. They can grasp ideas really easily. Um, they're just good communicators, good endurance when it comes to like they can kind of just assert themselves in a very good way, but not necessarily a way that's over the top. Although there's other aspects that could indicate that. Um, let's think. Yeah, so hmm, I guess what I would say with Mercury, Pluto, people with that sometimes they can have very obsessive thoughts. And now, like the good part is that they they can get very, very obsessed with something that they want to learn about and they can become very adept at it. But at the same time, sometimes they have to get over a lot of darkness in their own minds and their own way of communicating. There can be a lot of cynicism. And it can also just be like cussing people out or, you know, just like having just dark thoughts, depression. So it really does kind of speak to that north node journey of really needing to go within and have that faith, especially like I always say, there's a million reasons every day that you can worry about something, right? But Pisces is like, especially in times, like a good example is like I'm in Colombia now. My mom's a Virgo, right? I'm a Pisces, and she was really really worried about like the fact that are getting killed here. I had zero worries because I believe in it's not blind belief. I did I did my due diligence enough of it, and I was like it's safe. Like I'm gonna be fine. I know I'm gonna be fine. I know people there and it's been amazing, 1,000% safe, right? So that's just a good example, right? Of like over Virgo is just like kind of holding yourself back from experiences because of fear. And over Pisces is just like the idealism, like, oh, I can just go here and nothing's bad going to happen. The universe has my back, and then you get murdered. So yeah. Um, let's see here. So let's see. Hmm, hmm, hmm. So yeah, I think Pluto, Mercury people sometimes can be quite cruel in their speech. They just have to, like really, really like have mindfulness um and really let other people in. Like let other people's opinions in. Because it can be very very dogmatic. Now, let's see here. So Venus opposite Saturn is zero, it's nearly exact. So this is what I just wrote about, and it's really can be very trust. I'll turn the camera back on. So there can be a lot of difficulty with trust issues, and just like showing affection. And it usually comes from being criticized a lot, um, when growing up, not all the time, but so Venus opposite Saturn, year 88. Most people with that, they don't get married or have like the best relationships before the Saturn return. It's actually really way better that they don't get married before the Saturn return. If they do and they survive, their marriage survives it, then that's a solid marriage, right? But a lot of times they don't. So, yeah, just like trusting people can be very, very hard and showing your true feelings. Um, like I've seen it so often. The trend I see is that they didn't feel like with like for their parents' love, they felt like it was a little bit conditional, like more based on like you know external stuff, I guess you could say, than like just being them, I guess. So it could be like narcissistic parents or a whole number of things. And sometimes the parents were just like very cold and unloving and just not meeting their needs in that way. So, it can manifest as like being in relationship with like way older people because that's Saturn, older people, or just very mature people. Um, or even someone who can kind of provide like financial emotional security. But the whole point with Saturn Venus, Venus's self-love is to develop self-love. And when you do that, then everything opens up and Saturn becomes the glue that holds relationships together in relationship astrology. So it's like really about developing your own value system, like what I call the constitution of yourself and self-compassion. So you're making decisions based off of that, as opposed to letting other people run the show, which South Node in the seventh house on the descendant would do. Um, but yeah, so I spoke about jealousy already because you have so much power. Um, I think it's important, like with North Node and Pisces too. There's also this kind of smoothening out of the personality because people will see the Pisces, so that's really good. So your personality will be very nice and very kind of you know floaty and dreamy and stuff. But then people get to know you and they're like, oh shit, she's not to be fucked with. Aries moon. But the Leo is also very, very smiley and whatnot, right? And well aspected besides the Pluto and the moon has two tough aspects. But yeah, so with love, I would say that Venus in Gemini, I see it a lot. I think they can be loyal, but a lot of them prefer like polyamory. It's not easy for them to just settle on one partner. Like they need someone that's going to keep them curious. They need their partner to be their best friend. They need to have really, really good communication with their partner. Um, in terms of what they can sometimes spend money too fast. They value reading all types of different media, whether it's like YouTube or movies or whatever, right? And they just like to have a lot of different experiences. So a partner that can't provide that, that's a little bit boring, is not going to cut it. At the same time, it's in the fourth house. So that indicates someone who, while they do want to have that fun, they also want to have that groundedness, right? And that's shown, with the fact that Juno, which represents your ideal partner, is in Cancer. So, in the fifth house in Leo. So it's once again that mix of, home stability, but then also adventure buddy, like fun, inner child, someone who you can be your complete self with. Now, we also have to look at the moon sign, right? So, moon in Aries, like my girlfriend's in moon Aries, there's no way someone with a moon Aries, I was just talking to her today, like there's no way a moon Aries could be with someone who's a pussy. That's just how I'm just gonna leave it like that. Um, moon Aries Like they can just they like I don't know how else to say it. I don't know. And I don't like to assume that you're like most. I don't know. Like I basically I don't know if I don't know anything about you. I don't know if you're heterosexual or bi or whatever. Most people, I would, most of my clients are heterosexual, but you never know, and I don't like to assume in today's world. But like if that is the case, you would definitely, especially with your Mars where it is, you would definitely need someone who is a man, right? That doesn't mean they have to be like macho, but like you have to be able to respect them. Like they have to hold some kind of authority, which doesn't mean like narcissistic dominance. It's just like you have you're just gonna you'll just be able to step all over them, if they can't handle the heat. Because like what I love about Aries moon, and like I said, my girlfriend has Aries moon, she's a Scorpio, is that like personally, like my pet peeve with women is when they're passive aggressive. Like I would rather get yelled at, even if it just crushes my energy, which, as long as it's not all the time, right? But like I would prefer that. I've broken up with a lot of girls because they did this, they pulled that bullshit, like, passive aggressive, shady, like kind of sneak dissing me, like psychoanalyzing me, like in like a very like weird way. Like that's to me the biggest pet peeve. So I like that about Aries energy, that it just says it how it is. Now you do have to use that Neptune energy that you have with your moon, which is the potential to be very psychic, right? It's just that you have to get past the difference between imagination and intuition, right? That's the big thing. And that's why I need you to, like, if you haven't, I need you to get deeper and deeper into meditation, into your dreams. I like really, really like feel that in your body, like when something comes up that is like when you just know, like that example I gave before of like when you meet the person, you have that first instinct, blah, blah, blah. So, I digress. Um, I think that, you know, I think that yeah, so someone who also is going to give you your independence, who's not going to be too clingy, but like where there is a really solid foundation, right? But who you can have fun with, and maybe it's like a like there's like a real mix of like the traditional, but also the unconventional type of relationship. Um, and then of course, maybe the most important like baseline kind of thing is the Neptune square, right? And I have other things too, Venus aspects. Like, they can't be someone who has bad energy, right? You have to feel 100% safe around them. They have to be good energy. If they have anger issues, like that is really consistent, like it's gonna fuck you up. Or if they have their own shit they haven't dealt with, like it's gonna fuck you up. And that might even be a karmic challenge for you, where you might have to leave relationships that where you love someone, because they have an energy that is really like keeping you away. So that goes into the idea of you needing alone time and understanding that, okay, minus 10, 10, 0. 0 is your normal state. If you're around person A and then you come back to being and you feel a certain way, you come back to being alone, getting good at understanding, okay, I was at -3 or -5 when I was around that person. Now that I'm alone, I've been able to chill, I'm back to 0. That's how you know. Um, but yeah, like overall, so the fact that Venus is opposite Uranus and Jupiter, or Saturn, I already talked about the Saturn one, right? Difficulty opening up. Like I said, Venus and Gemini, they can jump from partner to partner. But then, I was talking to one last night who basically kind of explained it like, she had her hoe phase, but like when she met the right one, you know, they can, anyone can be really loyal when they meet the right one. And I'm not saying that Gemini Venuses are hoes. But they do get bored. And I'm an air Venus too. So don't worry. Now the fact that it's in Uranus adds to that thesis. Because basically it's just being torn between, it's very, very like kind of what I'm saying. being torn between like that security of a relationship that's consistent and that desire to just kind of be in that intimate relationship, that kind of two souls becoming one, and that desire to be your own person and keep your individuality, right? And so there's this need for freedom, and it's very, very difficult for commitment for people who have that. So it's really important to develop an appreciation for your own um unique talents and those of other people, and also to understand the importance of energetic breaks. If things get a little bit too whatever, just slam the door. Yeah. So just yeah, be able to know like when you need time away, and be able to be with someone where you can explain to them like, look, like you know, this is yeah, like I need this break. I need to spend time away. It's not anything negative, and then you come back together and it's all good. So, with career, obviously like there's a lot of energy where, or actually more with romance, like so you're very committed, invest the seventh, lots of commitment to the relationship. South and the seventh, there's lots of old karmic partners that will come up, and probably there'll be energy where you have to like in this life balance out different karmic relationships. um Maybe you screwed them over in one life, and they screwed you over in a different one. Maybe not screwed over, but you get what I'm saying. But there is a lot of fate, and I just believe that there is, whether you met that person or not, someone or someone's who, you're meant to really be with. Now, Black Moon Lilith there in Virgo, it can kind of create a perfectionism in love. Um, Nitpicky, like where nothing's ever good enough, overly critical. But then it's also, it's in the seventh house, but like it can also be to the self, right? Where that could be the shadow of just like being overly hard on yourself. But also in the context of relationships, it could be just like over analyzing, just like over analyzing, and overthinking, and then like having that paranoia seep in. So besides that, I think that you are, someone who could heal tremendously through any type of creative expression. Maybe in your early childhood you weren't given the ability to kind of really just be a kid. So it's maybe even like having children, or teaching children, like that can get you back in touch with like a child. It's really important. Um, and yeah, like so Jupiter I talked about, like just the fact that it's in Gemini, that's just like someone who is just always searching for new information. And I would say with that, with your Venus and your Jupiter there, it's like really, really the seeker. But like sometimes there can be, with all that fire, like starting too many things and never finishing. So it's really important to, go out and find and find and find. But then when you find those few things that you really love, try to stick to them, right? So on that, right, like Pluto in the ninth house, people sometimes they don't feel like they belong to the country that they're from, like karmically. Um, Not always, but they are people who are very, very determined to find the truth. And yes, they can be like fanatical religious people, but overall, like they will see a big shift in kind of transformation in their overall belief system of what truth is. And then that's why, like when I talk about a career change, like I always say, like if you believe that the ultimate truth for you is all, like money is all that matters, okay, well then let's see, does this stuff my shirt up? No. Then then you're just going to do real estate or finance or something, right? But then if like you have an experience that shifts things, like like my friend today, I was talking to her, and she like had like this acid trip and she was like, I forget what age, and it just changed her life forever, ever, like everything changed. Um, then your truth changes, and then what's important becomes the metaphysical value of what you're doing, and maybe it becomes outdated. So I think with that, it's just like this potential, like you're just so driven to discover the higher meaning in life, right? But like also you have to really beware of becoming dogmatic in any kind of personal philosophies, like I was saying before. Like it's just the importance of listening and taking other people's stuff in, and then like understanding that everyone has their own truth, no matter, even if you think they're dumb, even if you think they're stupid, like just being curious, like what can this person teach me, even if it's like something that I don't want to be, right? And also like Natal Pluto, there can be like an obsession with travel, um and just study in general, like Scorpio, obviously Pluto, yeah. So it's just like, um I think your travels can really, really like your metaphoric or physical travels can be absolute game changers, right? In terms of your consciousness and your growth. And yeah, and maybe you'd end up living in a country that yeah, a country that you're not from. So let's see here. Yeah, so more stuff about animals. I think that you can get a lot of joy from them. I think they can really help you, especially cats. It's the best animal. Just joking. Well, you know, I'm not joking, but I'm joking that it's an objective fact. I love dogs too, but cats are just the best, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, like with that amount of fire, like it's just yeah, like it always comes down to that awareness, right? Of like, am I being over the top, right? Am I bringing too much to the table right now? Um, how is my energy affecting other people? Right? Like I've been around people who have a lot of fire. Now, Leo, I think is, especially Leo women who are spiritual, I've always had really good, really, really good. I never, I can't even think of one that has had those toxic Leo traits. Um, but yeah, like having an Aries moon, you know, it's just a possibility. Um, so it's just good to be aware of, right? But yeah, like really, like I think like the only person that can kind of like fuck you up is yourself, right? And once again, you're on this journey, you're on this very, very personal, personalized to you spiritual journey in this life. So, you just got to make the best of it. Um, and that, usually requires beating to the beat of your own drum and not following other people. So, yeah. Anything else? Let's see. Well, definitely. Um, yeah. So Neptune 11 is interesting. Actually, no. Let's go. Let's go. So, okay. So Saturn 10th. Um, interesting with Uranus there. So that to me is a great Saturn placement, and it's just giving you lots of responsibility in your career. It could have been the case that it was up until around like 29, 30, 31 that your idea of truth, of like spirituality, opened up. A lot of times that's how it is for Saturn. Um, but your career is very important to you, and you take you're seen well in that sense. But sometimes there can be a fear of public failure with that placement. Um, and there can be like a lot of early setbacks in the first 30 years too, but it creates like a very hard working person and someone who's very respected in their profession, who wants to make a difference. And also there's like a level of karma there, but it's the best house you can have Saturn in. Now Uranus, that will make someone in the 10th house want to have a more um, you know, different path when it comes to career. And it definitely reflects the young Jungian individualization, right? Of you finding your own person or who you are as a person on an authentic, deep level, away from societal conditioning, and then um, you know, and having like like a Uranian career could be someone that helps people for a living, right? Or is working in technology, right? Or is doing something that's very, very unique and very true to them and very rare and off the beaten track. That's kind of how I see that. Um, but yeah, it does definitely speak to different type of a different type of career, right? Now, Neptune 11th, this is about this is interesting. Um, so first of all, it speaks to the fact, that you need to have spiritual friends and that you need to be, it'd be very, very good for you to be in like any kind of organization or, friend group or anything that you're able to kind of like be your spiritual self in. And it can also speak to having a deep spiritual goal in your life that maybe even takes, like you into your middle age later life to fully develop. um Now 11th house Neptune with friends could also mean you know that you might have to be careful with friends. um but I think it's just really like searching for those like very humanitarian and spiritual friendships, right? Also, I think it can almost make it so like your friends can like almost like be your family in the sense that they like there can just be this very, very karmic and beautiful Neptunian breaking through boundaries oneness energy with them, right? But really also it makes you just very like empathetic to this, to the suffering of other people. um and yeah, it just gives you like a very warm aura to other people in general, right? And just makes friends really, really important to you. Like you really need them to provide you support when you feel down, and you do the same for them. So a lot of people with this are like volunteers and like humanitarian type work, like yeah, a lot. But sometimes they give too much, and I've seen enough in your chart to not think that this would be the case where you would struggle with that. But Neptune lacks boundaries, so it could be that when it comes to friends, maybe there's some of that energy that might happen. But I've seen enough in your chart of the assertiveness that yeah, but maybe that's some, like I said, two things can be true at the same time. Or yeah. Or two conflicting things. So yeah, because usually Neptune shows where you give more than you get. So um that could be in the area of friends, right? Um Sometimes like with a square to Mars, it can indicate like antisocial behavior and even like self-sabotage when it comes to to your friends and into your dreams as well. So but also, there can be like a lot of like manifesting ability for like your greatest dreams. So yeah. But then at the same time, the difficult aspects that you have can um almost make it like it can cause someone to feel unhappy no matter how much they accomplish, um because of that perfectionism. So that's like what has to get through is gratitude needs to come um through, or they're just going to always want more people with this, right? So yeah. So yeah, like I think friends that yeah, that you can enjoy like the arts with. Um and it's not necessarily artists, but people who like, who are dreamers and you can enjoy the same music with. And yeah, who just like have common interests and like in goals and ideals as you, right? Um yeah. But like I said before, it can sometimes like come across where someone is like trying to take advantage of you or fool you and like putting trust in people that don't deserve it. So yeah. And like another thing I've seen with Neptune 11th house is that it can make people have friend groups that engage in lots of drugs or alcohol, just escapism in general. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, most people with the Mars square Neptune, they have to avoid drugs. But they also are like, people who want to, who are like champions for the underdog. Um, Mars square Chiron is interesting in your chart because you have so much assertiveness, but usually what it does is that well, I would say like it can make people kind of on some level feel like they lack power. Sometimes there can be like an overcompensation, especially with Neptune, right? Neptune people sometimes like Neptune like hard aspects, the person can sometimes see themselves unclearly and it can either make them like isolate or be very insecure or the opposite and just be way over the top, right? And that goes back to what I was saying about like, the mother or just like, kind of separating what's yours and what's not yours. Um, so yeah, um, Mars Chiron, right? Like a lot of times people feel like they might even fear their own anger or fear anger in general. So like it's really about developing that strong sense of self-worth and yeah, just like really like communication, like like just reassessing, getting good at communicating on like the baseline level. And I think with your career also like ruled by Jupiter, um, you know, going back home, like if you don't live home, can be like a great source of rejuvenation for you. And I think that career wise, you know, it could be real estate, it could be something related to speaking. Like I said, you'd be amazing with anything related to sales. But like with Midheaven and Sag, there is that need, especially on Antares, like, you know, to find truth, right? Like to feel like you're growing, your ideal of truth is growing through what you're doing. And yeah, like to round it all out, part of fortune with yeah, with Juno in fifth, it's like just speaking about the idea of needing to have that spiritual relationship with yourself. It's an exact trine with your ascendant and your north node, right? So it's really speaking to that, but also in doing that, um, finding a creative outlet and being able to inspire um other people and just like the need to develop very the friendships, right? And just like when you can nourish yourself and other people, um and even kids, like actually this is like a fucking like wow, what a yeah, this placement right here with Chiron, like that is indicating fifth house Cancer, that kids could be like one of the biggest, most life-changing things for you, like amazing. And if one's a Cancer, tell me, that'd be crazy. Okay, let's see one more thing. Oh yeah. Let's just see if anything's out of bounds first. Uranus, I knew it would be Uranus. So yeah, Uranus out of bounds, that's just like means that that planet, it's like its declination is so low it can't be tamed. So when Uranus can't be tamed, it can just create just a person that is so like so hard to pin down, right? Like they're so rebellious. Like they have such a strong sense of being their own person. Um, so yeah. A lot of people with that though had some kind of separation or loss with like a parent at an early age. So there can be like a lot of abandonment there. Um, and there can be like a lot of struggle to move on from that. So yeah, a lot of times they had to like really look out for themselves, and grow up really, really quickly. Like a lot of examples of this are people who, yeah, who were either abandoned by their parents. Like Stephen King was one. He um, you know, left by his father, who just like, dipped out to get a pack of cigarettes and never returned. Right. And yeah, like, it's just like lots of trauma. Like Salvador Dali, he had that, and at 5 he got taken to his brother's grave. Um, and he was told that he was his brother's reincarnation, and he like believed it. And then his mom died when he was 16. So, and his dad married her sister. So it's just like crazy, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's really rare to have the out of bounds Uranus. Like I'm trying to think, have I ever seen it? But yeah, I would say like also, yeah, but besides that, yeah, it can just make someone like, yeah, very eccentric and, yeah, like I said, rebellious, revolutionary, just like insisting on having freedom of all kinds, like very creative, like just like it's like there's no checks and balances to like that, you know, that like Uranian energy. So it can be very shocking to people. Kind of like off the wall, very like taking lots of risks, unpredictable. But yeah, so it's something that needs to get grounded. Okay, let's finish with this. I'm getting good. It's a 4 a.m. I'm not trying to, I need sleep these days. I really do feel like doing another one. But I'm really, really caught up on my readings, so I don't need to. It's just fun for me. It's just fun. Um, okay. If you could see what I was looking at right now. Beetlejuice is, yeah, it's not close enough. Mhm. It's not a child. Mhm. Doesn't matter. Oh, it's this one. Oh my God. Oh, okay. So Zosmon the Descendant is a very nice asteroid, and it has to do with truth seeking. So it's one of the three Babylonian astrology asteroids linked to astrology. Also, Nessus on the Descendant that could indicate just difficulty, kind of trauma in relationships, even like abuse. But that's not one I've really studied that much. Let me look at my notes about that one. I feel like I have a whole article on it somewhere. Where is it? Okay, cool. All my desktop rearrange. Okay, there it is. Do I have this? I thought I did. Oh no. But yeah. That's how I see Nessus. Nessus descendant. Let's see what they say. Okay, so it says I have the exact same place, and I tend to attract people who were/are abused, and as Fuzzy Les said, they tend to be obsessed by me, my son, blah blah blah. So these relationships leave a sizable and harsh impact on my life. This Nessus is a few minutes away from my ascendant. I do, however, also have Chiron, which you do too, have it there, about 3 degrees away, which could no, you don't have it there. I'm not. That's not correct. You have the south node there. And black and Lilith is what I meant. Which could mess with this observation. I desire to help people with much struggles, and perhaps thanks to the trend, blah blah blah. And then someone said, it is said that it could bring abusive, and that's why I said, or at least obsessive relationships that you'd need to look towards Saturn and aspects to confirm such seem more. No, you'd have to look towards um Mercury, which is with your sun in the sixth. So yeah, just karmic relationships that need to be balanced out. Okay, besides that, yeah, I talked about Antari is amazing. I don't know enough about the Galactic Center with Saturn at least. It's just not studied enough. All right, yeah. Cool. Well, that is everything. Hope you enjoyed. It was very fun. I was I it's so funny doing these readings in the different moon signs or the different, when the moon's in Scorpio or Pisces, like Like I talk so much shit about Scorpio moons, but like I don't know, like I can't really like that was like when I had my eyes closed, I was literally just like this. And it just felt so good. Like I was just like and like I had the chart in my head. I wasn't open my eyes at all. I was just it was like, it was in my head and I was just seeing things. It was crazy. But then I felt bad because I'm like, I want you to see my face or something, not just a screen. But then it's like real seekers care about the information, not, you know, like the dumbest client I ever had, most lame client I ever had, complained because I was getting up and my lighting wasn't great and my sound wasn't great. And now I have just, the best microphone ever. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed. I really, really hope that you book this other session with me. So I wrote down the discount I would give you. Let me know if that works. Just be honest with me. Um, you know, like yeah, like I can make things work. Of course, like I'm always charging less than I'm worth. I know that. I'm very aware. If the Leo King can charge 2,000 for a reading, I can charge 10,000, but I won't do that. But I want to help people where they are, understand things are the way they are economically. So yeah, just let me know. And either way, you already have the follow up. So take your time and yeah, shoot me a message. Email is best, jesse@gmail.com, just to get my attention. And I'll talk to you later. Ciao.